If you're watching this video on the day of release, happy Sunday. I'm sorry I'm ruining your day of relaxation because this video is going into Valrak mode. I don't normally do this, but I've reached a point where I just want to talk about the absolute mess when it comes to Space Marine successors and their lore, because every single time it's like a tennis ball. It's back and forth and people don't know where they stand. So let's jump in and let's get waffling. Now, I've already done a video similar to this and I'll hold my hands up. This is kind of a repeat, but I've got more evidence to add to the absolute crime against the Space Marine lore. And this is Games Workshop not knowing their left from their right when it comes to the gene heritage of Space Marines. It seems they're changing it every edition. Sometimes a book that is released 3 months apart, yes, has different sources of information. And this is absolutely wrong to do because a lot of people build their armies, create their armies, color their armies in based on the gene heritage. And for you to come in and say, for 1 second, it belongs to this gene heritage, then in another book, a couple of months later saying, we don't know who it belongs to, is the wrong thing to do. I think it's disgraceful, really. Maybe disgraceful is a hard word to use, but Games Workshop, this £1 billion, whatever you want to call it, company, should be doing better when it comes to the lore of their Space Marine chapters. Now, I just want to give a shout out to a chap called Tay over on my Twitter account, as I like to call it, because he's brought this new information to me, and it's all about the Salamanders and their successors. And I'm glad we're talking about the Salamanders and their successors, because they are one of the coolest chapters, one of the coolest legions that they were during the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy, and I think their successor chapters have been left out in the cold. Now, this is coming from this book, The First Founding, one of the greatest books ever that has Space Marine lore in there. It's got Imperial Fist, White, well, it's got all the First Founding in there and their successor chapters. And if you open this book up to the Salamander page and it goes through just the initial information, it notes that some of their successor chapters are the Black Dragons and the Storm Giants. I'm like, cool, that is absolutely amazing. They have these successor chapters that follow Vulcan's creeds, maybe. They're friends to the Salamanders. They'll come to the Salamander's age. Do you know what? I don't really want to paint green, but I want to paint this chapter because it comes from Vulcan's heritage, Vulcan's gene lineage. And that's what people do. But this is where Games Workshop comes in and ruins everything. Because within the same year, the First Founding book was released, I think around 6 months later, this book was released, the glorious Space Marine Codex, the first of probably many in 10th edition. But we got this, it had some new cool lore in there about, you know, the Lion, Gilliman, Imperial Fist Fountain, the Votan and stuff. Really, really cool stuff. But it has a double page in here, which I'll put in the background. I'll also open it up on here right now in case I do it this way, called Unknown Lineage. And in this Unknown Lineage page is a lot of chapters, but 2 of those chapters that stick out there are the Black Dragons and the Storm Giants, 2 chapters that have been previously announced in the First Founding book belonging to the Salamander gene lineage. And this is what really gets me going and gets me like rant rack mode, because I think this kind of stuff is not professional. It doesn't give people certainty to go out and build Space Marine chapters. For example, there is a brand new Imperial Fist successor chapter that is located in the new Codex. I'll put it on screen right now. Now, me, as a Son of Dawn, I'm like, okay, you know, they seem pretty cool. They seem pretty nice. But what if now, next Codex, they come out as like unknown, or, you know, it's not the Sons of Dawn anymore. And I've invested so much time, effort, and money into this model range to paint them because they are Sons of Dawn, and you've just come out and changed it in a few words. This is what I mean. This is what frustrates me, and this is what I think Games Workshop should be doing better. If you're releasing these books definitely within the same release year, surely someone should be checking this and making sure it's not the way it is. I do think it is a communication issue because the first founding book is written by authors and the Games Workshop Codex book, the lore book, is written by the GW team, and we don't know who they are because they refuse to put names on their products anymore. But that's not an excuse. That just means that GW should be doing better to communicate with the teams themselves to make sure everything is on the same track. I'm sure they have like a sacred list, a document where all this has the information on, where you go there and you look at it, like it tells you about the salamanders, their successors, etc., etc., etc. So that is even more laziness from Games Workshop, if that turns out to be true. Now, before I do leave the video, I just want to address the other side of the coin, because I know people are going to mention this in the comment section, and that is about the lore itself and being uncertain, and it's like different points of views. Nothing's really real, everything's really fake. Well, 40k is not real. Hopefully not anyway, because that would be like the worst setting to go into. But I understand that argument where there's like everything is kind of hearsay and a rumor and stuff like that, and you know it's kind of propaganda, and you know that's how the Imperium works, etc., etc., etc. I completely understand that side of the argument. I'm not saying you're wrong, because I actually agree that a lot of the stories that do come out are kind of propaganda and made up to make the Imperium like look better, etc. But when it comes to models themselves and building chapters, that is a whole different kind of way into Warhammer, the way, like the best way to say it. And people like to paint who they love. It's as simple as that. I love to paint Imperial Fist because of Dawn. You love to paint whatever chapter you're doing because of your Gene Father and the way that they fought during the Great Crusade, Horus Heresy, etc., etc., etc. It's just the way it is. And to take that away from people with a blink of an eye, I just think it's bad business. It's just bad business practice, and it's just laziness. It's just not on, really. That's the only common word I can use for it. It's just not on, and I don't like it. And I hope Games Workshop actually start proofreading their stuff a little bit more, reading this, and just following the stuff that they've already written. They've already foundated in the lore, instead of just changing it every single second. Now, if they want to change it, let me just add, they can do it, because we actually have that, again, in this Space Marine Codex. The White Templars were a Sons of Dawn chapter, but over the course of a couple of editions, they changed it where the White Templars found out their gene lineage was not that of Rogal Dawns, and now they've gone on to like a crusade into the stars to find out who they belong to. That brings new lore, more narrative into it. Yes, I kind of disagree the way they've done it still, because a lot of people painted the White Templars to be as a Son of Dawn, but at least they're adding a story to it and not just changing it with a blink of an eye and saying, oh no, they don't belong there anymore. No, they're just unknown, no story attached at all. So that is kind of the best way to do it, but I still don't agree. As soon as you say a chapter belongs to a gene lineage and people start painting that chapter as a gene lineage, it should stay as that gene lineage, because people have invested a lot of time and money into it. And that's what it's all about, right? It's about time and what you've invested into it, and for that to be taken away, I just think it's just not on by Games Workshop. Anyway, enough ranting, enough raving from me. Sorry I've ruined your Sunday evening. Thank you for coming, thank you for watching as always. If you've got any thoughts, feedback, anything like that, post it down below. I'm have a nice little chin wag down there as we always do. See you, have a great day, and bye bye.